ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
As I mentioned, several of the readings we're going to be using today are actually coming from the Siddur, from the congregation Shahar Zahav, which is the Golden Gate in San Francisco, the LGBTQ community. They have a wonderful resource there, and we'd like to share some of those readings with you here tonight. In a world of profane sights and ordinary thoughts, where gossip crowds out speculation and annoyance leaves no room to share each other's sufferings, we pause before profane things drown us out, that we might dwell upon the spectacleness of life, the electricity of godly moments, the lovely splendor of certain places, the holiness that at rare occasions in our lives encircles us with the reality of God. We're about to light the Shabbat candles, and for this honor, I'd like to invite up our head of security, Temple Beth, for the honor of lighting the Shabbat candles. It's on page 3 and page 2, if you want to follow along.
Source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadek likner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, of Shabbat. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we're welcoming in Shabbat, we continue with L'Chadodi, which you can find on page 20 in your Siddur. We're going to be doing stanzas 1, 2, 5, and the last one. And as always, for the last stanza, please rise, face the door, or wherever the Shabbat bride might come in at your home where you're watching us.
Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor v'dibor echad Ish miyanu el hamiotad Adonai echad ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לדודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
Please have a seat. We are on page 24 for Shalom Aleichem as we continue welcoming in the Shabbat angels.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Honi leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitchem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh hakadosh baruch hu mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh hakadosh baruch hu mi melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh hakadosh baruch hu.
Turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Please rise as you're able. At home, also facing east.
Yai lai lai, ya la lai lai lai, yai la lai lai, yai lai lai, ya la lai lai, yai la lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Ya la 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 ya la 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 Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed.
Ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 oh ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 la
For Ma'arifarim, reading Twilight People. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles, at intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both neither and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between, who have come to pray, be lifted up in this twilight. We cannot always define. We can always say a blessing, though. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari Faravim. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight. Page 32, turn to Ahavat Olam. And on the left side of that page, so 33, on the bottom together, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malechuto, Leolam, Leolam Please have a seat.
We join together in V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'geshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Move into Micha Mocha by reading for queer elders. Blessed are the elders who parted the seas of ignorance and prejudice, sacrificed sanity and security on the rock of steadfastness, conquered demons of hatred and false idols of bigotry, followed their hearts to a promised land beyond the dim horizon. Blessed are the elders whose namesakes are without, whose energy and courage created a legacy of hope, making space for the children of today and sweet justice for children yet unborn. Page 40, Micha Mocha.
Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha nedar ba'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Malechotecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeli anu ve'ameru. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. ונאמר כי יפקד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
In page 43 on the top, together. Let
There be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, Hapurei Sukkot Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
And for the Shamro, we join together on page 44 on the top.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם. Sing with us. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות המריד עולם.
About to turn to the Amidah, which begins on page 46. Please rise as you're able. Folks at home as well, if you can face east where that is. Just as a heads up, I'm going to be using a reading The Stonewall Avot V'Imahot by Mark Holly, a reading. So instead of the first bracha blessing, we can include this for tonight.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ophia Gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Blessed are our ancestors, the forefolks whose spirits and lifeblood we hold within ourselves, like sparks of the divine. Those who created cornerstone towers from glass and broken brick, whose steps of defiance created paths where none existed, lightening our burden. Let us celebrate our hard-won victories and remember that the work continues with us.
Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atara Yehoshia. Mashiv haroach umorid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, michamocha bal givurot, umidom elach, melech memit umechayeh, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please have a seat. Page 55 on the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
In the middle of page 57, we read together. Ever present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha, v'yirah na'avod. And as we turn to page 58 for the Modim, or prayer of thanksgiving, take a moment to think about what are some of the things you're grateful for, something nice that happened maybe during the last week, something else that's been going on there. Going to go around in a moment. If you want to share those, folks at home, if you want to share them in the chat, feel free to do so as well. And yeah, Kent, or anything going on these days with you?
So I think I'm thankful for the people who are here, who came out and come for Shabbat services. It is a small group, but a beautiful sounding group, and it's nice to hear prayer in person again, and I'm very thankful for that.
Also, I'm grateful for people who are here to support us, not only here tonight, but also there have been a lot of, since there was this other attack that on the church, that really was scary. Thank you to all the people who also helped looking into the security on a building. If you open the Torah Ark later on, you'll notice there is a lot less Torahs in there than usual. So we actually evacuated some of those just as a precaution. We're going in an abundance of caution here, but pretty much since this is the most sacred objects that we have, we evacuated those. So I'm grateful for people who are looking out for our community here in these times. And especially Sean has been doing a lot, our head of security has been doing a lot also outside. We have Manny Espinoza taking a watch as well. So thanks to everybody who, I'm grateful for those making us safe here. Anybody else? What do you guys want to share? Want to share? Let me start on this end. Something that they're grateful for this week. Yes. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sweet of you. Yes. Thank you. The creation of calm in the midst of all this. Thank you, Sigurd. Appreciate it. Somebody else? Yes. Oh, the booster shots are now available. Yes,
Yes.
Grateful for that. Wonderful. So things are opening back up or something starting in November. That's great. So good for that. Awesome. Yes. All right. Homework for next week. Go out there and make some more wonderful things happen. Come back and share them with us next week. On the bottom of page 58, together the Chatima.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'eh Lehodot. For Shalom Rav, for prayer of peace, page 60. Let's join.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amecha Tarsi ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, וטוב עיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה
Take a moment of silence now for the prayers of our heart. Feel free to use the readings on page 62, 63 if you would like. We're coming back on the bottom of that page in a moment.
The bottom of page 62. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Those of you who've seen Fiddler on the Roof will of course remember Tevye's daughters, as well as the lengths they went to in order to find their bescherts, their meant-to-bes. They even put up with Jente, the matchmaker of the village, and the risk of getting stuck with an old or an overweight guy. These days, the matchmaker is no longer part of most of our lives, for most American Jews at least. New technologies opened up the dating scene tremendously as well. Think of online dating portals, Match.com, eHarmony, OkCupid, or the Jewish equivalent, JDate. And yet, despite all these new avenues for dating, long-term relationships and satisfaction in these relationships have decreased tremendously. 50% of all new marriages today end in a divorce, often only a few years into the marriage. So, what makes for a successful relationship that will stand the test of time? In this week's Torah portion, Chaye Sarah, read about a matchmaking that actually worked out. After the death of his wife Sarah, Abraham sends out his servant to the old country, not Russia or Poland in this case, but rather Aram in Mesopotamia, to find his boy chick Isaac a wife already. It is a time filled with stress and uncertainty for all of them. Abraham has just lost Sarah, his wife of many years, and Isaac, his beloved mother. And now this unnamed servant has to embark onto a long and dangerous journey to a faraway country to bring back a suitable bride for his master's son. He even goes as far as praying to God for a sign, to know he has found the right girl. Once he arrives in his master's home country, he meets a young woman at an oasis who was just drawing water there and is now on her way back home. He approaches her, asks for a sip of water from her pitcher. She immediately is gracious and provides him with it, and even goes above and beyond, offering water for his camels and for him as well, too. The very sign from God that he has been waiting for. And when he then also finds out, hey, this is actually Rebecca, the daughter of Bethuel, Abraham's nephew, there's no more doubt for him that she is exactly what he has prayed for. He accompanies her to her family's home, where he proposes to her on behalf of Isaac. Guess what? Rebecca's family is directly taken in by him, especially all those lavish gifts and jewelry he provides. But they leave ultimately the final decision to Rebecca herself to make. Hatelechi im ha'ish hazeh? Do you really want to go with that man? Although in fact faced with the very first blind date in history, Rebecca accepts. Elech, I will go. And thus the servant gets to return back to Abraham, bringing Rebecca along with him on a camel. And now is where the magic happens. Isaac had gone out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted up his eyes, and behold, he saw there were camels coming. Rebecca lifted her eyes too, and when she saw Isaac, she came down from the camel. Some commentaries say she actually fell off literally, so smitten was she when she saw Isaac. And she said to the servant, "Who is this man who walks in the field to meet us?" And the servant said, "It is my master." And she took her veil, not unlike these days here, to cover herself as a nice Jewish girl dresses decently when meeting a guy. The servant told Isaac all the things he had done, and Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted for his mother. So here we have our happy end. The servant got to fulfill his mission, Isaac found himself a wife, and Abraham gained a daughter-in-law to keep his family line going. In several regards, Isaac and Rebekah's relationship is actually a novelty. Theirs is the first romantic love we have on the books. Rebekah is knocked off literally her camel upon seeing Isaac. And the text explicitly said that Isaac loved Rebekah. Their love and intimacy will eventually also give them away to Avimelech as husband and wife. And behold, he saw Isaac caressing Rebekah, his wife. So apart from their physical attraction to one another, what is the secret to Isaac and Rebekah's relationship? The Torah draws a pretty clear picture here. The sign from God that the servant asks for to recognize the appropriate wife for Isaac are her kindness and hospitality. She welcomes and cares for a stranger, provides him with comfort after his long journey, the very same characteristics exhibited by Isaac's parents, Abraham and Sarah. There's a midrash in Genesis Rabbah telling the following story. As long as Sarah lived, a cloud, God's presence, the Shekhinah, hung over her tent. And when Sarah died, that cloud disappeared. When Rebekah came, the cloud returned as well. As long as Sarah lived, her doors were wide open. When she died, that hospitality ceased. But when Rebekah came, that openness returned as well. So when Isaac recognizes these characteristics in Rebekah, he takes her into Sarah's tent, as she was exactly like his mother was. According to Rabbi Yosef in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, it is Isaac's love for Rebekah, as well as seeing his mother's legacy continued by her, that ultimately help him overcome his mourning for Sarah. The Torah tells us in the story of creation, therefore a person shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his spouse. And this is what the story of Isaac and Rebekah can ultimately leave us with. While romance and passion are important for a relationship, they cannot be maintained all the time. The secret to their successful long-term relationship is the common vision for their lives, as well as the mutual respect and kindness of character. These are also the values that are hard to convey, either through a matchmaker or on an online dating profile. And yet, they are what ultimately allows for relationships worthy of having God's presence dwell upon. Shabbat Shalom. All right, and next I'd like to invite up Maddie Plumer to tune herself in for some announcements on this Shabbat. Maddie, please.
Hi. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I don't see myself, so, okay. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to all who joined us this evening for our multi-access Erev Shabbat service. The service is being enjoyed from the sanctuary as well as the home of various congregants. Thank you to Rabbi TV and Cantor Fine for leading us tonight. Thank you to Bob Garden, Rainey Carlin, and Kat Ellis for handling the service production and broadcast. You too can help. If you are interested in helping and wanting to help ensure that we can continue streaming services as well as running sound in the sanctuary, contact Aaron Peterson or Jordan Harris to join the Temple Tech team. Thank you to Randy Leifson and Jordan Harris for volunteering as service supporters. They are helping us to ensure that we can gather together safely. If you are interested in helping, please contact Aaron Peterson. We have a number of opportunities to gather, learn, and celebrate and help in the coming days and weeks. Friday services will continue to be made available on Facebook Live, YouTube, and on the Temple Beth website. Details on how to find the live services can be found on the live streaming webpage. Note that all Friday services will begin at 7:30, except for the very last Friday of each month, which begins at 6. Saturday morning services will begin at 10 a.m. and are on Zoom. The Zoom link is found in the weekly Shabbat Shalom email. Tomorrow we have Torah study at 9 on Zoom. Shabbat morning service follows at 10 a.m. on Zoom. Zoom Havdalah will be tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Interfaith solidarity against attacks on places of worship. In light of the rash of attacks on places of worship, join various faith leaders in a show of solidarity. This will be Sunday at 2 p.m. at Tacoma Community College. Register to ensure that you receive information where on the campus this will be. More information in the Shabbat Shalom email is about this. Save the date, Tuesday, November 9th at 11 a.m., Jews and Climate Justice, which is a virtual event. Registration can be found in the Shabbat Shalom email. Sisterhood is excited to announce a number of upcoming events and opportunities. There'll be an art workshop online Sunday, November 7th at 2 p.m. Information was recently given in the recent Shabbat Shalom. Sisterhood is also organizing a group of up to both men and women for 20 people to work at the Nourish Pierce County Food Bank on November 8th from 10 to 2. You must be able to lift up to 30 pounds. And if you're interested, please contact Marlene Matola no later than November 5th. Save the date for Experience Leonard Cohen at it's the Contemporary Jewish Museum from San Francisco, which again is a virtual experience. This will be on Sunday, November 21st at 2 p.m. See the Shabbat Shalom email for more information on this and how to register. For the safety of all of our community and to honor the Jewish value of Pikuach Nevesh, saving a soul, we have finalized our service attendance protocols to return to in-person multi-access services in the sanctuary. In order to do so, we will need the efforts of our service supporters once again. As of now, we still do not have enough volunteers signed up to maintain our in-person services, so please, if you're willing to help, contact Erin Peterson. To attend, you must register each week, and a one-time COVID vaccination verification will be required. A communication was sent out to the community, and the same information can be found on the TBE website under the COVID-19 webpage. As always, you can continue to view services on Facebook, YouTube, and the TBE website. You can interact and comment on both Facebook and YouTube. The Judaica shop will be open on Fridays from 11 to noon and by appointment. The shop will also be open 30 minutes prior to the beginning of services on Friday night when we have in-person services. The Hanukkah shop and sale is set to begin early next month and will be open from November 7th through the 21st. This will be for vaccinated TBE members, and we ask that non-members make an appointment by emailing judaica@tbetacoma.org. And the hours are Sundays from 10 to noon, Wednesdays from 4:30 to 6:30, and Fridays 11 to noon and 7 to 7:30. We're asking our community to help our neighbors and fellow places of worship after they were both attacked by arsonists. Make sure to check out the Shabbat Shalom email to see how you can help our neighbors at the Islamic Center of Tacoma Center and St. Charles Borromeo Catholic Parish with their rebuilding efforts. As always, if you need any help or are willing to help those in need, please contact Temple clergy, staff, or leadership. I hope everyone stays safe and healthy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, Mary. That was a lot of things going on these days, so thanks for sharing all that with us. Just for clarification, this meeting thank you for the interfaith solidarity this Sunday is for the clergy of the area and interfaith leaders of the area. That's why we didn't put in the Shabbat Shalom, so please don't go there and then be turned away at the door potentially. So this is just as a piece of information. I will be joining there representing the temple. Our Director of Education, Leslie Bright, and also Rabbi Emeritus Bruce Cadden also plan to be there. So TBE will be represented at this very important occasion, showing solidarity with our community after all that has happened. Also, just for the thank you, our tech team keeps going. Also, thanks to Benjamin Zavan also being here tonight, and everybody else who made this service happen and flow nicely. Do we have anybody else for thanking here? I think those are the main ones. Oh, Debbie, of course, for always accompanying us beautifully here tonight. Appreciate that as well. So, as we are in the midst of our Shabbat rest, let's take a moment, think of those who need of healing, of body, mind, and soul. And we're going to be saying the Misha Berach prayer, our prayer for healing. It's on page 253 in a moment. And actually, there's a couple more that I would like to mention. First of all, this Shabbat also is, 2 days ago was the anniversary of the Tree of Life shooting in the synagogue in Pittsburgh in 2018. And we also keep those in mind who are still mentally recuperating from the loss that they suffered there and the shock that poses. And also, of course, everybody else who still need a healing in terms of COVID or otherwise suffering. Let's go over some names, if there's anybody of whom you're thinking at this time and season before moving on. Yes, please.
I'm thinking of a dear friend and mentor, Rabbi Earl Grolman, who passed away, who was my Rabbi Emeritus in Boston.
Let's keep in mind from our community, Kiana Williams and Bunny Peters. And also, as I mentioned, in honor of LGBTQ History Month, to include a reading, Queer Misha Berach, before we move into ours. In community with our queer ancestors, most of whose names are lost to us, forgotten, or even deliberately obliterated, may we be blessed and healed in free and open ways, not always granted to those who went before us. May we come to know a place and time of complete healing, so that we may share this healing with all the world, in the name of all who have been forgotten, as a blessing for all queer folk who are here today and for all those who are yet to come. And of course, if anybody at home wants to share their names, please feel free to do so in the chat. For all them, we're about to recite the Misha Berach, page 253. Please join together.
Misha Berach Avodeinu Mekor Avraham May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor habracha lei avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
About to turn to the Aleinu on page 282. What we're actually going to want to do is today use the top one, which has a bit more of a universalistic message, as we are so many times looking out into the world. There's so much need of healing and acknowledgement of that, so we would like to go with that one on the top. The Nusach, the melody, goes the same lines as we do usually on the bottom too.
Please rise, page 282 and then 287. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהונות השמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please have a seat. Take a moment now to think of those who are no longer with us. We first want to commemorate those who passed away in the last month. If there's anybody who's in that period of mourning, Shlashim, please rise at this moment. Of course, at home as well. From the midst of our community, we commemorate Mark Elenick, who passed away in September. The news was just communicated to us pretty recently, so we'd like to include him here as well. To all the mourners, we extend the traditional words of consolation. Hamakom hinachem etchem, betoch she'ah havalei Zion Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. And now to those who are commemorating the Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one, please rise at this moment. From our community, remember the following: Moshe Apperson, Thomas Alber, Jack Robert Bender, Aaron Wachowski Brady, Joseph Kasher, P.C. Yang Chao, Evelyn Friedman, Chaim Jempol, David Klotz, Fanny Knopf, Lena Kodish, Joan Kriegel, Michael Lappen, Ida Luick, Ben Luick, Mildred Mann, Naomi Scher Halperin, Michael Miasin, Sophia Napex Skolander, Joe Panas, Samuel Polakov, Alfred Puchler, Susan Sable, Joseph Bernie Schleicher, Esther Silverstein, and Paul Warren. Is anybody else of whom you're thinking whose name was not mentioned yet? Please feel free to add. Of course, also for those at home, if you want to share those names in the chat, please feel free to do so. Also, on this Shabbat, as I mentioned, the anniversary of the Pittsburgh shooting, we commemorate those 11 who were killed in that incident, as well as all LGBTQ folks in history who fought for justice throughout their lives, the life in equality, and who are no longer with us as well. Together as a community, we rise for the Monas Kaddish. You can find it on page 294. And One prayer of remembrance, as I mentioned, for the LGBTQ folks. Oh God, remember those members of our family who were martyred in years past because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Those murdered by fanatics in the Middle Ages, those who perished in the Holocaust, and those struck down in their own cities in our own time. Remember also those who took their own lives, driven by despair by a world that hated them. And in mercy, remember those who lived lives of loneliness, repressing their true nature and refraining from sharing their love with one another. Oh God, watch over the souls of those beloved ones, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and help us bring an end to hate and oppression of every kind. Monas Kaddish, let's join together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabba, Be'alma divrach Hirotei, Ve'amlich Malchutei, V'chayechon u'yomechon, Uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman karev, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach, Le'alam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, V'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitada v'yitale v'yitalal, Shmei d'kudusha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam levracha. May their memory be a blessing. Please be seated. And before we move to Kiddush and Motzi, we are going to be closing with Ani Ve'ata. It's a kind of, we want to say a few words about this piece.
Sure. It's by a pop star of Israel named Arik Einstein, and it says, Ani ve'ata, me and you and I will change the world. You and I, then all will join us. Though it's been said before, it doesn't matter. You and I will change the world. You and I will start from the beginning. It may be difficult, but it's nothing. It's not so terrible. You and I will change the world. And that's really important. That's the message. And that we are all in it together. So I invite you to sing with us and to rise as we conclude with Ani Ve'ata.
It's on page 348, if you want to look it up in your book.
Ani ve'ata nishanet ha'olam. Ani ve'ata az yavo kvar kolam. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo nishanet. Ani ve'ata nishanet ha'olam. Ani ve'ata ninaseh mehatchala. Yiyed lanu ra, ein davar ze lo nora. Amru et ze kodem lefanai ze lo mishane. Ani ve'ata nishanet ha'olam, et ha'olam, et ha'olam, et ha'olam.
Please remain standing, hold home, please rise if you can. It's about to turn to the Kiddush. It's on page 5 in the book. If you want to follow along with the text.
Did that so well.
Oh.
Okay. Join with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. לחיים. I think there will be a new class at the seminary to learn how to do that. All right, we join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avo. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thanks everybody came and tuned in. I appreciate it. And there's going to be some challah near the exit if you want to grab a slice as we're heading out. Shabbat shalom. Thank you.